Hello everyone and welcome back to AneurynPlays. Today we have Talking Tea with Aneuryn. So pour yourself a hot one, let's sit down, let's have a chat. Now then, my Stream Deck is not doing what it should be doing, and I'm not happy about that. But what else is new? How is everyone doing today? Yeah, something is very not good. Something is very not good. What is happening here? Oh no, it seems to be working just fine, I guess. Mary, welcome to the stream. How you doing today? I haven't seen you for a while. Where have you been? Do I have to come find you? It's getting ready for bed and I got a notification. No, you're not. Oh, okay. Welcome everyone. I have not I've not had time for breakfast this morning, annoyingly. I didn't give myself enough time to wake up and get ready for today's stream. My alarm went off, right? I keep doing this. I keep thinking that my alarm is set for 10 a.m., but it's not. It's set for 11. And so my alarm went off and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I feel so wrecked today. Didn't sleep very well last night. Kind of was stressing out about some new updates that I was doing to the overlays. Not something that you guys will be able to see just yet. It's something for basically I'm waiting for YouTube to do an update, and then once YouTube has done the update, then I'll be able to actually use these new overlays. But YouTube is currently working on dual streaming. So I'll be able to stream like this, like normal, but I'll also be able to stream in short form format, so tall format. So I've been working on overlays for the tall format. And yeah, annoyingly, it's just not ready yet. I mean, the option is there in my menu to be able to activate it, but when I activate it, it doesn't give me the option for dual streaming. It basically just cuts a sliver out of the mainstream. So if I wanted to basically stream to tall format, what it will do is it'll basically just cut the tall format section out of the center of this stream, which obviously isn't particularly great. There's way better ways of doing it, and I figure that when the time comes, because it does say in the in YouTube's how-to guide that you'll be able to dual stream, like actually send two separate streams up to their servers so that you can stream a regular and a tall format version, which is really cool. So just to be sure that I'm ahead of the game on this one, so that as soon as that becomes available, I can use it, I've started working on, or I shouldn't say started, I've continued to work on the tall format stream layout. The only downside of this is, and it's only, I guess it's kind of a minor downside, but the downside to this is that I'm working on something and I don't get to see it in action, you know? That's one of the things that I genuinely love about being able to stream, is the I guess the instant gratification of it, you know? That I can make a change, and in the next episode, that change will be there. But with this tall format stuff, I'm basically just, I have no idea. I literally have no idea when this is actually going to go live, when it's actually going to become available for me to use. And yet I'm working towards it. And who knows, when I actually finally get the option to do that, it might not work. It might not, people might not like it. And so I need to figure something else out. So, yeah. I was working on that last night, and I thought that I'd made a mistake and screwed up my overlays for everything else. And so I was kind of in a panic last night, trying to get everything fixed. But it turns out it was just a mistake that I'd made anyway, and I've now rectified that mistake, thankfully, across all of my overlays. Oh man, I wish I had a tech support team, I really do. If I sound a little bit off this morning, if I sound a little bit croaky, it's because I do have a little bit of a sore throat. Not so much a sore throat, just like, my voice feels a little bit strained. I don't know why. Obviously, I wasn't talking at all yesterday. So, not like in a streaming way, at least. So, I don't know why I feel a little bit strained today, but, we're gonna take it easy. We're gonna have a hot drink. I've got some of those, popcorn bars with me. Those are delicious. I really like these. Chocolate one tastes like Cocoa Pops. You sound good enough? Alright. Yeah. I'll be fine. I'm planning on doing tonight's stream as normal. But if anything happens, if I decide, oh, you know what? I'll give it a break. I'll just drop one episode tonight. I'll make sure to let you guys know. Oh, actually, speaking of tonight's... Good grief. Speaking of tonight's episode... There is supposed to be an episode. I completely forgot last night with all the rush to get everything sorted out and make sure that what I was doing wasn't screwing with my regular overlays. I did forget to put up the waiting rooms, so my apologies for that one. This week's schedule hasn't changed. It is still, so far, going to be Monster Hunter Storage 3 tonight and Pragmata tomorrow. That much hasn't changed. Naira never sounds tired. I think these streams, they give me energy. They do. I'm more likely to sound sick than tired, I think. And that's because I'm one of those people, I have to work. I have to do something. I'm terrible otherwise. If I'm not working on something, I'm working on something else. I'm a little bit of a workaholic in that regard. And a lot of people wouldn't say that. Like, I don't think my parents would ever consider me a workaholic. I know for the majority of my life, people have called me lazy. But it's not about lazy, it's about, you know, finding something you actually want to apply yourself to. And this is something I care about, this is something I'm passionate about, and every single day I want to be doing it. I know I can't do it every day. That would be impossible. But, Well, I say it would be impossible. I guess it wouldn't be impossible. It would just, I would burn out very quickly. But yes, big welcome back to Mary, though. Been taking care of Mom, studying for exams and stuff. Completely understandable, Mary. I'm only playing with you. I know you got stuff going on, and I hope things get better soon. I hope there's continued improvement in your life, and I hope that you successfully pass these exams. I just feel like you've left me behind. Just because you're not digging roads doesn't mean you aren't busy. Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of those things is like, and I've always been very clear about this. I've always been very upfront and forthright. You know, I'm not trying to say that that streaming is the hardest job in the world, but it is still a job that requires a lot of attention. It requires a lot of focus, and especially if you're doing things yourself like I am, you're basically doing it every hour of the day. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a labor-intensive job. It doesn't mean that it's a back-breaking job. But you're basically doing the same job as like a radio presenter or an entertainer, you know? Someone who's actually doing something with their voice, with their, you know, you gotta put a lot of energy into this. If I came into the streams being like, oh, hello guys. Oh, I'm so tired today. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't get any views. It's all about the number go up. Speaking of number go up. Speaking of number go up, I think I'm already out of YouTube's bad boy house. I think I'm out of the bad boy house, really? Come on, Aneuryn, you like alliteration. Bad boy books. There we go. I think I'm out of the bad boy books already. Because my last Pragmata stream got double the amount of views of the previous Pragmata stream. And not only that, I got 2 new subscribers yesterday. I didn't even stream yesterday. So I don't know what's going on there. I guess some folks found my VODs and followed me. But that's great. I think that means that YouTube has started to promote my channel again. I guess all I needed was a week without Resident Evil, or 2 weeks without Resident Evil. Which sucks, because I want to play more Resident Evil. Right now, I don't feel like I can risk it, though. I really want to play Resident Evil 0. And apparently there's a Resident Evil 1 remake in the making. According to some rumors. So, yeah. Hey Hellfire, welcome to the stream. How you doing today? And Plague Dog, welcome. Did the hype helped? I think so. I do. I think it does. So the what Ron is talking about, there's a new feature on YouTube called Hype, right? And if you go to any one of my streams now, I think it has to be within the past couple of weeks, you can now hype up a video. And basically what that does is it gives me a certain number of hype points. And those hype points will put me on a leaderboard. And if I'm in the top 100, it'll get seen. Now, I'm not really 100% sure how the hype leaderboard works. Because you would immediately think that, like, big YouTubers would be on the hype list, right? Like, you'd imagine that someone like, let's say, 𝗶𝗁𝗁𝗵 from Hololive, or, in fact, I gotta be honest, when I first saw that the hype thing even existed, I anticipated that I'd go to the hype list, and it would just be all Hololive. But it isn't. And then I watched a couple of streamers that have hype turned on, like 𝗬𝗁𝗁 has hype turned on. She's not on the hype list. Most of the videos that I've seen on the hype list are smaller YouTubers, which makes me think that maybe the hype list is only for smaller YouTubers. Like, maybe bigger YouTubers over a certain subscriber count don't appear. I'm not really sure, but it was like, it was a bunch of, I don't want to say weird. It wasn't weird in the sense that the videos are weird, you know? But they were completely strange to me, unknown to me, YouTubers, people I'd never even heard of before. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, why? I need to figure out how that works. But yeah, I think that hyping up this channel has definitely worked. It's another way to interact with my channel. It's a new way to interact with the streams. And, you know, every avenue for interaction really does help. And so, before we go any further, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And ring the bell to be notified of when I'm going live next, which should be this evening. If you really like the stream, consider hyping it up. And also, we've got memberships open if you want to support us. So, please do. Yes, there you go. I wonder if it would negatively affect the views of Cultic too. I have no idea. I don't know. I think it's mostly because Resident Evil is... I don't think it's because it's a horror game. I think it's because Resident Evil 9 is particularly realistic looking and very gory at times. Also, like, when you're playing Grace's side of the story, you feel very... The world is very unbalanced, or it feels unbalanced in the monster's favor, because you're this poor little girl running around with a pea shooter. And you can't really do a lot with that, unfortunately. So the world feels like big and scary, and there's a lot of tension, and there's a lot of emotions behind that, you know? But maybe that's a part of it. Maybe it's because there's children involved. I don't know. But ultimately, Resident Evil historically has not done well on my channel. It just hasn't. And I'm not really sure why that is. I don't think that applies to all horror. I think that's just Resident Evil. I think Crow Country, good lord. Crow Country did really well. For example. Just trying to think what other horror games have I played that has done actually kind of well on the channel. Not many. Because I always do horror games around Halloween. So, because I don't play horror games throughout the year, usually, Resident Evil 9 was a was an exception, not a rule. But because I don't play horror games usually throughout the year, I don't really see this kind of drop-off. I only ever see it in October. So, yeah. Maybe it is a horror thing. I don't think it is. I think it's Resident Evil. I actually think it's Resident Evil. I think YouTube doesn't like Resident Evil. Maybe it's got something to do with the name. Maybe it's got something to do with the content. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact that there's blood and guts and gore and zombies and children involved and stuff like that. I don't know. But YouTube doesn't seem to like Resident Evil. They especially don't like Resident Evil 9. Hellfire's working. Yeah, me too. Not the same kind of work, obviously, but... Speaking of Resident Evil, new movie trailer dropped last night. Oh, really? Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have to look that up. I was gonna say... I don't know whether I should do a movie trailer watch, because... I just got out of the doghouse. I don't want to be back in the doghouse for watching something. Let me have a look. Let me see what I can find. A new era of evil from the mind of Zach Kreger, director of Weapons and Barbarian. Okay. Interesting. I heard a lot about, I've heard a lot about Weapons. I never actually watched it, but I have heard a bit about Weapons. Interesting. Okay. I saw someone posting a photo earlier today on X, which I'm assuming is from the trailer in that case. It was the big fat zombie. Yeah, Discussing Film. Discussing Film posted a screenshot of the big fat zombie looking thing, or possibly a titan, saying first look at a freak in Zach Kreger's Resident Evil. And Umbrella Corporation official responded with, "We never made that." I love that. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna check that out for myself. I'm not gonna watch it on stream right now because it might be something that is gonna get me in trouble, and you know, I don't want to get demonetized as well for showing a trailer. You'd be surprised how often that happens with smaller channels. Is that usually bigger channels can get away with it, but smaller channels will be like, yeah, you know what? We'll have you, thank you. It's like they're trying to win little victories, you know? It's like, hey, look at that tiny YouTuber that can't protect themselves. Alrighty, time to send in the big dogs. But yes, what gaming news have you seen today or in the past couple of days? Because I have not had time to do any kind of research. I have not been able to do anything today. The only thing that I've seen, actually, and this is kind of cool, is that there's apparently going to be a collector's box for the Neo Geo. And, if this is real, I'm looking for official information on this. But I found a... Oh, it is real. Is it? I don't know if this is like an actual real thing that they're releasing, or whether it is oh, it is. It's called the Ultimate Edition. Oh, how did I miss this? This looks amazing. Let me save this. Let me show you. I don't know how I missed this. This looks amazing. Hey JC, welcome to the stream. How you doing? This is it. This is the Ultimate Edition look. Actually, let me make that bigger. There you go. No, 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 no. I didn't want it to be... Oh, my goodness. There you go. Ah! So this is the Ultimate Edition of the Neo Geo AES Plus. You get the Neo Geo, you get 2 of the Neo Geo game pads. Fighting stick style pads. You get 1 game pad. Not sure why it's only 1. Yeah, just the 1 look. 1 game pad. 2 arcade sticks. Oh, 1 is wired. One's a wired stick, one's a wireless stick. I don't know about that. I'm not a huge fan on wireless controllers. Well, wireless controllers generally are fine, but I've kind of been going anti-wireless recently. Yeah. But it includes the AES Plus console, 1 wired arcade stick, 1 wireless arcade stick, 1 wireless gamepad, 1 memory card, the game rack. So it's not just the games, it comes with all 10 launch titles and the rack that it's in. That's pretty sick. And then you've got this big Neo Geo box. That's quite the collection. That is quite the collection. If you're talking about the $1,000 USD Ultimate Bundle with 10 games, yes, it's real, but it's a website exclusive. And the PlayOn website has been trashed lately. Oh, really? Ultimate Edition is not even the white anniversary console. They know there'll be people who will double dip. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. And the wireless arcade sticks can be connected wired too, apparently. Okay. Well, there we go then. That's a good thing. I like that. I kind of prefer wired. I've been going on a wireless-less... Wireless-less? I don't like wireless things anymore. I'm kind of against Wi-Fi at this point in time. I've been connecting more things up with wired connections. I recently went out and I bought a bunch of new Cat 6A cables to be able to connect everything together. I believe they call that wired. I know what you're saying. Yes, right. I understand what you're saying, that it is called wired, yes. What I mean is, yeah, like Kiko says, anti-wireless. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm pro-wired. I'm saying I'm anti-wireless. Pro-wired is a different conversation entirely. I am pro-wired, to be fair, but I recently have just been really dead against wireless connections because I've just been having so many issues Like, just trying to get my Xbox to connect to the Wi-Fi. We bought a brand new router, and the new router is supposed to have better signal, better range. It just doesn't connect to my Xbox. It's just, I don't know. It'll connect to the Switch. My Switch is fine. Even my PC connects wirelessly, though I do still have that connected via a wire. My Switch will connect to the Wi-Fi from where I am in the house, but the Xbox won't. Maybe that's an Xbox thing. Maybe it's the Wi-Fi thing. I don't know, but I feel that there's a lot more security in a wired connection. It's not going to drop out on you unless the entire internet drops out on you. But that's not my responsibility. If the entire internet drops out on me, it's not my fault, you know? Maybe it's Maybelline. Annie's afraid of radio waves taking over his mind? No, I'm not. No, because I wear a tinfoil hat. Ha ha ha. You can't get to me, aliens. I realized I just clicked the button so that I was drinking my tea. Of course, you can't see it because there's a Neo Geo in the way. Yeah, so $1,000. Apparently. I might not be able to get this in Australia. I may not be able to get this in Australia. It just sent me to the German website. How much is that in kangaroo bucks? Probably like 1,300 or something like that. Play on replay.com/Neo Geo. Oh yeah, when I go to that website, it says shop from Australia. Oh, okay. What happens if I hit the pre-order button? Will it tell me? Oh, it tells me in USD. Oh, you sneakies. Okay. Yeah, so it's 1,000. It's not even $1,000. It's $1,082. That's a big yikes. That's expensive. Why is it always the Germans? Oh no, Mary. Whoa, no. It's always the bloody Germans. Good grief. And what do you mean the aliens don't want what's in my head? No, actually, no, they probably wouldn't. You know, if the aliens were to ever read my mind, they probably would never come back. It's gonna be only the console and extra stick for you? Yeah, I think that might actually be what I have to do. I can't even afford the games. Oh, wait, you can buy the Spirit? Sorry, Sprint, not Spirit. I miscalled it a Sprint for... Whoa, there's a... Wait a second. I just went... Whoa, hold on a second. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Let me get rid of this. Let me get... oh, wait. damn it. Hello. Right, hang on a minute. Why do my buttons not work? What the hell is going on here? That would be why. Never mind. Oh, that was my fault. I did not know about this website. I don't think I've ever seen this website before. I gotta be honest. Look, they've got the full-size C64s and VIC-20s. Are they actually in stock? The black controllers are out of stock. The Atari 500 Mini is in stock. The Spectrum is in stock. So this is basically a... It's not FPGA, it is emulation, but it is a full-size Commodore 64 with a working keyboard. Oh, it's out of stock? Are you kidding me? Gosh dang it. Damn, I've been trying to get hold of one of these for ages. I saw one in CEX near me, and I was like, I might have to pick that up. Someone else got to it before I did, though. Ah, boo. I thought they would be I thought they were available because you could see them here. Hang on, what about the Spectrum? Oh. Oh. Okay. Discover it. Ooh, this was still... Oh my goodness, this website's dangerous. This website is dangerous. Ooh, okay. All right, yeah. I get why you're yeah. So over in Europe, a lot of websites get redirected to Germany, and I don't know why that is either. Honestly, it shouldn't be based on region. It should be based on language. It's silly. Yeah. I gotta save for the rest of my money for an overpriced flash card, assuming they're compatible. Yeah, that's gonna be the thing, isn't it? I can't imagine, because it is an original Neo Geo. Like, it is the original Neo Geo, but it is a new one with HDMI out and wireless compatibility. To me, I feel like it will be compatible. It should be compatible. Or at very least, someone is going to figure out a way to make it compatible. So I think that the flash cards will work just fine on this. Man, look at those games. What we got? Metal Slug. Big Golf Tournament. Oh, you can't have a Neo Geo without a Big Golf Tournament. Is that City of the Wolves? Oh, Mark of the Wolves, Garo. Yeah. City of the Wolves is the new one, isn't it? Twinkle Star Sprites. Okay. I don't know this one. Twinkle Star Sprites. Sounds like a game I'd enjoy. Maybe not. What is this? Is it like Bust-A-Move? It looks like it's kind of like Bust-A-Move. I don't know this one. Well, we got Pulsar, King of Fighters 02. Great addition of King of Fighters. Shock Troopers. Overtop, which is like a top-down isometric racing game. Very similar. There was a Biker Mice from Mars game, which has this same perspective. It wouldn't be surprised if it was by the same company, honestly. Who is this? Who made this one? Was this actually SNK? Let me quickly pull. Oh. Biker Mice from Mars game. Oh, that was made by Konami. And Overtop was SNK. Oh wait, hang on. ADK. Who are ADK? ADK Corporation. Okay. The perspective of the game, this isometric view for the racing game, reminded me a lot of Biker Mice from Mars, but clearly it's completely unrelated. There we go. What we got here? Magician Lord and Samurai Showdown Special. Ooh. I like Samurai Showdown. I love King of Fighters. Metal Slug is going to be fun. Garo Mark of the Wolves is going to be fun. Oh, man. Ah. Yeah, Kiko needs to hide the wallet. Definitely. Website has the tism. It's even selling the Spectrum. Sorry if I'm missing your messages. I had my stuff over the OBS window. I thought as much too, but 700 is a lot to put down based on an assumption. Oh, absolutely. No, you're completely right, JC. It's expensive. Yeah, it is. It's really expensive, but I mean, it could be good in the long run. Man, that Ultimate Edition looks nice, though, doesn't it? That looks so nice. Oh, look at that. I know this is only like a 3D mock-up, but holy crap, that would be amazing to have on the shelf. Oof. That just looks sick. Honestly. That just looks so good. Oh, that's so tempting. And considering how much money I've spent on retro stuff recently, like, is it really outside the realms of possibility that I'm going to spend over $1,000 on a Neo Geo? Of course it is. Oh, sorry, of course it isn't. If you haven't pre-ordered yet, check if Amazon AU has them, so you won't have to... ooh. That's a good point. I don't usually use Amazon, but I will take a look. Alternatively, I could buy the physical copies of the Switch games, Neo Geo Collection Volume 1, 2, and 3, which are all currently available on Amazon. Just saying. Or I could get the Evercade versions of them. The Evercade versions. Yeah, let's do that instead. That'll be cheaper. See, this is the thing, right? A lot of people, I think a lot of people would scoff at that price, like $1,000 for the Neo Geo. But at the same time, oh, actually, there's... The Neo Geo Collection games for Switch goes all the way up to Volume 10. Good grief. That's a lot of game. That is a lot of games. Insane. Okay. I don't think all of them released in the West, though. I think some of these are Japanese only. Yeah, it's some people might look at the Neo Geo release and be like, that's way too expensive, who would buy that? It is inherently a luxury system. You could play all of these games elsewhere. They are available on Switch. They are available on the Evercade. They are available as their own separate, like, plug-and-play systems. I've already got one. I've got an SNK plug-and-play system. I got the Neo Geo Mini International version mini arcade cabinet. I've got one. There's also the MVS Mini, the red version of the same one. There's also the SNK Neo Geo Mini Samurai Showdown Limited Edition bundle. The SNK Neo Geo Mini Samurai Showdown Limited Edition bundle Heiyomaru Edition. You know, there are other ways of playing this which are significantly cheaper, right? But this is inherently a luxury system. That's what it is. That's what it was always intended to be. It's priced for luxury. And is that an excuse? Am I making excuses? Not really. It is expensive. It's very expensive. But at the same time, if you just want to play the games, there are other ways of playing the games. If you just want to play Samurai Showdown, you can literally go onto the Switch eShop right now and buy Samurai Showdown. It's available. If you want to play Metal Slug, you can literally go to the Nintendo Switch eShop and buy Metal Slug. It's there. It's available. It's going to cost you like 15 bucks. This is a limited luxury item, and it is priced as such. It's not going to be for everyone. And it's significantly cheaper than buying the original. Let's remember that too, right? At $500 Australian for the Neo Geo bundle with one control stick and Metal Slug, that is significantly cheaper than buying the original. In fact, how much would an original one set you back? If I was to just go to ebay.com.au right now and look up Neo Geo, I'm seeing a lot of like minis. Oh, here we go. Neo Geo pre-owned with one game. What game is that? Looks like it's King of Fighters. Oh, it's scratched up to hell. Right? Okay. So we got a Neo Geo. Let me get the link. I'll pull it up in this window. There you go. Neo Geo, scratch to hell, 1 control stick, bunch of cables, 1 game, $1,000. There's your Neo Geo. That's if you want to get a modern, an original one, right? You got this one here is another one. This one comes with 4 games. No controller. No controllers. Just the games. And it's banged up. $1,000. So, like, when you really think about it, this isn't too bad. $1,000 for the console, 2 sticks, a control pad, a memory card, and 10 games, compared to $1,000 for that. For this mess. I mean, I know which one I want. I know which one I'm willing to spend $1,000 on. And surprisingly, it's not the original. Amazon US has everything available except for the Ultimate Bundle. I went that way. Yeah, I just went and had a look on Amazon Australia, and it doesn't have the Ultimate Bundle. It's only got the Anniversary Bundle, in fact. So maybe it's already sold out. I'm only seeing the white version. Like, don't get me wrong, the white version looks nice, but it's not... I don't know if I want the white one. Yeah, no, I know. I know the Ultimate Bundle is, but I'm just saying, like, on Australian Amazon, I don't even have the black version. All I've got is the white version of the AES Plus. Just the white version. So it looks like if I was going to be getting it, even if I was to get just the regular bundle, let's go back to that website. Even if I was to just get the regular bundle, this bundle, I would still have to do it on this website. Because I can't get this one. This is the only one I can get. Oh, wait, the black one doesn't come with a game? The Anniversary Edition comes with a game. Oh, okay. I don't know. All I'll say is, right, I have already spent over $1,000 just to get myself an Atari. Right? This one. Come on. Come on, website, catch up. There we go. I bought this Atari for myself for my birthday / Christmas last year. And I had to have it sent to the UK before it was sent to me in Australia. So, yeah, that was expensive. I also bought... Does it have more... Oh, it only shows this. Okay, it doesn't actually show the rest of the options. Oh, there's the trailer, look. So, yeah. I got all of the different colored controllers, and I also got the collector's bundle of Namco games. So, you know, I got my money's worth, but it still costs a lot to get it to me because I had to buy it in America, have it sent to the UK, and then have it sent from the UK to me in Australia. So it was expensive, but in my opinion, kind of worth it. It cost me over $1,000 in total. I also, I've spent roughly $1,000. It wasn't quite $1,000, just short of $1,000 for the ZX Spectrum Next, which is going to be coming out at some point in July, I think. I think they said that it's now going into production. The last update we got, in fact, there was another update today. The previous update that we got for the ZX Spectrum Next issue 3 said that they finally got the last piece because there was an issue with the pieces. The ADV chips. And they finally got them in and they've been shipped to the factory for production. And that's what they're currently doing now, is that they're starting up production. And so it should be ready by July. So whether or not I'll actually get the Spectrum Next by July is another thing entirely. But maybe I'll get it in like August or September or something. But that's something which I'm really looking forward to because I want to play... I've been wanting to play a lot more retro games recently. I've been feeling very disillusioned about the video games industry as it stands right now. And I've definitely been looking towards doing more video, you know, classic video games rather than modern stuff. So, yeah, that's something which I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be streaming from my new Spectrum when it comes in. Talking about the Switch and the games, what's your opinion on the new Tomodachi Life? I don't really have an opinion on Tomodachi Life. For me, I just don't get those kinds of games. It's the same with The Sims. I really don't get it. I've tried playing The Sims, but I just didn't get it. It's not for me. I'm sure other people... I've seen a lot of people saying that they really enjoyed it, so... Yeah, I think that... I mean, from a technical standpoint, it seems that it's a functional game. That's all I can say, really. It's not something I personally enjoy, though. If they release it in EB Games in Australia right before release, I will be mad. Oh! Ooh! Do you know what? You might be onto something there. Let me take a look at... Oh, no. I hate that. So, if you type in ebgames.com, instead of it going, oh, you're in Australia, let me take you to ebgames.com.au, it instead goes, oh, I'm going to take you to GameStop US. Why? Fix your redirects. Come on. Verify that you are human. Well, I'll tick the box, but I'm not making any promises. Right, let's have a look. Neo Geo. So far, I'm not seeing Neo Geo on... Yeah, there's no Neo Geo on EB Games. I'll check out the Gamesman. Oh, for goodness sake. Okay, it's on the Gamesman. It's got... hang on. So we've got the Neo Geo AES Plus console in black for $330. That's not terrible. And then it looks like we got all the games too. Metal Slug, Garo, Big Tournament Golf, King of Fighters, Polestar, Shock Troopers, Samurai Showdown 5, Magician Lord, Twinkle Star, and Overtop. Yeah, so it's got all 10 of the games. Okay, cool. And the individual control sticks. And the individual controllers. And the memory cards. What does the black console actually come with? Wait. Oh, no. Okay, I thought... No, okay. I thought this was a bundle. It's not a bundle. Okay. Features. Unmistakable, uncompromising, arcade-grade build. Hardware faithful re-implementation. No emulation, powered by re-engineered ASIC chips. Sick. Compatible with new Neo Geo AES game cartridges and backwards compatible with Neo Geo AES game cartridges with traditional ones. Quality of life features, so it's got upgraded quality of life. I don't know what that means, but okay. Low latency HDMI output, excellent. Original AV output for CRT enthusiasts. Wow, okay. So it's got the original AV output as well. Nice. Dip switches for language selection, overclocking, and display mode. Okay. That's very classic. Like, the Atari 2600 has not dip switches necessarily, but it's got switches on the back of the Atari 2600 for you to choose whether you want it to be in a color display or a black and white display, or if you want it with the Atari 2600 Plus, it's got a 4x3 or 16x9 switch on the back that you can flick back and forth while it's actually on. It's really cool. Let's see. Permanent high score saves, but memory cards required. Okay. Includes the wired 15-pin connector arcade stick. The ultimate Neo Geo experience at home. So, the original game box, the standard game box, it comes with a black console, a wired stick, HDMI cable, and a power supply. Doesn't come with a memory card and doesn't come with a game. Ooh, okay. Temptation sets in. Temptation sets in. Ugh. Build your own bundle. Even if I was to build my own bundle, I wouldn't get everything for the same price. That's the problem. Like, I'm looking at it now. When you look at the price... hang on a second. Let me go back to the Gamesman website. So, let's say, for example, I get the Neo Geo Black, right? So I get the Neo Geo AES Black. That's $330. Then I get Metal Slug. That's now $560. 330? Wait. Sorry, $460. $470 even. And I need a memory card. So, $520. we'll probably want a second stick, which will make it $690. And that's just one game. $690 so far, and that's just one game. All we need to do is add like 3 more games, and that's the same price as buying the Ultimate Bundle. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not saying that you're... I think, no, Play On has Australian... You can order directly to Australia through Play On. So that's not going to be... This isn't going to be a problem. This is something I'm definitely going to have to stop and think about and consider. I'm going to have a very long conversation with Kiko about this one. Alright, let's get back to the chatting screen. Oh, hello. My coaster was stuck to my mug. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree that I'm not going to want every game. That is true. I don't really care for big tournament golf. Even Overtop, I can't say that I'm particularly enamored with Overtop. Shock Troopers, Samurai Showdown, Pulse Star, King of Fighters, Garo, Mark of the Wolves, Metal Slug. All of those are games that that I will probably want. Magician Lord? Not Magical Lord. Magician Lord. That one's kind of up in the air as well. I actually don't know this one. Yeah, this isn't a game I've come across before, but Magician Lord, okay, we'll say that there's like 3 games on here. Magician Lord, Overtop, and Golf that I'm not interested in. But when I look at the price, if I was to buy 7 games, plus the AES, plus the memory card, plus another control stick, I'm going over $1,000. Like, well over $1,000. So it'd be cheaper to get the bundle. Even though I'm going to have 3 games that I don't really care too much about, it would be cheaper than buying all the games separately. $1,000 is a big ask, but, you know. Blame it on the love of retro gaming. I'm sure that's how that song goes. Can I tell you something? Let me tell you something. Alright, I'm trying to pick up my my container with sugar in it, and I can't. That's not what I wanted to tell you. We talked a little bit about the idea of going to more of a retro thing on this channel. And I remember when I started on Twitch, I used to say this is a retro gaming channel. But then occasionally there'd be games that would come out, which I'd be like, oh, well, I want to play this. And people would say, I thought you were a retro gaming channel. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am. And then after a while, I just thought to myself, I need to stop calling myself a retro gaming channel. Am I really a retro gamer? Do I really have the right to call myself that when I play a lot of new games as well? Do I have the right to call myself a retro gamer when I don't really, despite the fact that I have a lot of retro games which mean a lot to me, it's not like a big driving force in my life to play as many retro games as possible. So I kind of came to terms with that within myself. And I talked about this on stream about saying, like, I'm not going to call myself a retro gamer anymore. And the reason for that was because I didn't want to be shoehorned. Shoehorned is wrong. Pigeonholed. Typecast. I didn't want everyone to think of me as being, oh, he's a retro gamer. And then when I played something that was new, people would be like, why the hell are you playing this new game? You said you were a retro gamer. You know, fake retro gamer, am I right? And I felt freed. I did. There was like this weight off my chest that I was trying to perform. And for a while, it was freeing to not call myself a retro gamer. You know, I'm just a gamer. And I think I would still stick to that. I am just a gamer. There are games that are new that I want to play. But with everything that's been happening recently, I've been finding myself in a very much a tizzy, a bit of a quandary, you know? I've been very confused. I've been very unsure where I stand when it comes to I'm not sure where I stand when it comes to modern gaming. The more things go along, the less I am interested in modern games. Like, even Nintendo, right? And some people seem to think that I'm a Nintendo fanboy or something. But even Nintendo makes me think twice these days, you know? I buy Nintendo consoles. I probably will always buy Nintendo consoles so that I can play the latest Legend of Zelda. Or so that I can play the latest 3D Mario game, you know? That is something that I will probably always have in my back pocket, is that I will probably still buy Nintendo consoles just for those specific games. But there's a lot of games that I just have zero interest in. Like, when I think about what games I want to play on this channel, I started this YouTube channel with the idea of I was going to focus in on adventures and RPGs. And games like Legend of Zelda, games like Final Fantasy, games like Breath of Fire, you know, stuff like that. But when I look at modern games in those series, okay, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild wasn't my cup of tea when I first played it. After playing Tears of the Kingdom and then going back to Breath of the Wild, I definitely have a greater appreciation for it. I still wouldn't call it my favorite game in the series. But I definitely have more of an appreciation for modern Zelda than I used to. My favorite Zelda games are still gonna be like A Link to the Past and Twilight Princess, you know? And I look at Final Fantasy, and there's a lot of people that have told me, oh, you would love Final Fantasy 16, and I gotta be honest, the more I look at modern Final Fantasy, the less convinced I am. In fact, I'd go as far as to say the less convinced I am that you know what I like. Because I tried Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or Remake. Remake, Rebirth, yeah. I think the third one's going to be called Reunion. So, I tried Final Fantasy Remake. And I'm not impressed. I don't like it. And there are people that have said, like, Final Fantasy 16 is very similar in its gameplay. It's not the same. It's not the same as Final Fantasy VII Remake series. But it's similar. It's got a similar feel to it. And already that immediately puts me off. The same with Final Fantasy 15. Do you know what? I didn't like Final Fantasy 15 on PS4. I played it, and I wasn't enjoying it. Do you know what I did enjoy? Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. To begin with, the art style is really kind of cute. They look like little wooden puppets. But it was actually a turn-based RPG. And I actually enjoyed it. I liked Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition more than their big budget PS4 release. I think Square Enix has gone in a different direction, to me. They are doing what they want to do, and that's fine. I'm never going to be the guy that says, hey, Square, you're not allowed to do that. But I am going to be the guy that says, but I'm not going to be playing it if you do. At the end of the day, we can only... We shouldn't be loyal to a franchise. It doesn't help yourself or anyone else for that matter to buy every game in a franchise just because it's a franchise that for up until now that you've liked, you know? First Final Fantasy I ever played was Final Fantasy VII. Then I played 8. And then I started playing some of then I saw 9. Actually, that's the correct order. I kind of did see other Final Fantasy games prior to 9, but I didn't really stick with them. Maybe I didn't have the patience that I do today. But I played Final Fantasy VII first. That was the first one I played. I played it when it first released because a friend of mine got it. He played it. I borrowed it off him. I played it. I thought it was the best thing I've ever encountered at that time. And I played 8. I tried looking up older Final Fantasy games, but I didn't really stick with them. I then saw 9, and I was like, for whatever reason, I didn't like 9. I decided that it didn't interest me. I think I'd gotten into my head that fantasy RPGs were not, sorry, Final Fantasy RPGs, or RPGs in general, were not supposed to be, you know, Dungeons and Dragons. That it was supposed to be like a cross between sci-fi and fantasy. Because the other games I'd played at this point were Phantasy Star. Because I had a Mega Drive emulation disc and I played Phantasy Star 4. So, I don't know, maybe it was just like an expectation thing, you know? A false expectation, but an expectation nonetheless. I wasn't really very well versed in RPGs at this time. When I saw that 9, I was like, okay, whatever. But then I went back and I played the other ones. I played 6. I played 4. I played 5. I played 3. I got 3 on DS. I played 1 and 2. Actually, correction. I played 1 and 2 at some point because I played the Dawn of Souls edition on Game Boy Advance. Which, in my opinion, is the best version so far. Except for Renaissance, but Renaissance obviously isn't an official release. I would highly recommend that if anyone is interested in playing Final Fantasy 1 in 2026, play Renaissance. But if you're looking for an official release, probably Dawn of Souls or the PSP editions, perhaps. I feel like Dawn of Souls possibly has more content. I'm not sure about that. I know that Final Fantasy VI on Game Boy Advance is probably the best version. Like, if you want the classic version of Final Fantasy VI, you're going to play it on Super NES. But the Game Boy Advance has a bunch of new features added, including the Kaiser Dragon and everything. All of that stuff that was left out of various versions is all in the Game Boy Advance version, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, anyway, point being, you know, I played through these games, but there's still a lot for me to catch up on. I loved those games as they were back then. And what they've become is not the same as what they were. Final Fantasy 15 is not the same as Final Fantasy 7. And to be fair, I'm not asking it to be. I have opinions when it comes to the way that these games are released. Like, in my personal opinion, I think that any of the action games should be subtitled. So, for example, you've got Final Fantasy Tactics. And being that it's called Final Fantasy Tactics, it separates it from the mainline series of Final Fantasy games. So someone buys a Final Fantasy game, you go, oh, I'm going to get a turn-based JRPG. Cool. You know, it doesn't matter what game you're playing, whether it be, you know, 1 through to 12. Maybe even 13. I don't know why you'd play that one. Those ones. Oh, 11. I forget about 11. I always forget about 11. Don't count 11 in that. But that's kind of my point, you know? Is that when you buy a Final Fantasy game, I think the name is important to a certain degree. That you're going into it thinking, I'm going to be buying a turn-based RPG. JRPG. And in my personal opinion, I think Final Fantasy XI shouldn't have been called Final Fantasy XI. And I think Final Fantasy XIV shouldn't be called Final Fantasy XIV. I think they should have been called Final Fantasy Online 1 and Final Fantasy Online 2, respectively. And I think that, you know, Final Fantasy Tactics wasn't called Final Fantasy VIII. I think it was Final Fantasy VIII. I think that's when... I think that's when it released. When did Final Fantasy Tactics? Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics released in June 1987. Oh, so it might have been before 7. Hang on. January 97. Okay, yeah. So, no, I was right the first time. So yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics wasn't called Final Fantasy VIII. It was called Final Fantasy Tactics because it was a significant deviation from the main line of games. As such, I feel like the action RPG games, let's say Final Fantasy, let's start with Final Fantasy 15 because 13 is kind of up in the air. It does still feel kind of action-y, but at the same time it does have menus and stuff like that. 15 has menus as well, but they just, you don't use them, frankly. But let's just for the sake of argument say Final Fantasy 15 is the beginning of the action RPG series. Then I think it should be called Final Fantasy Action. I'm not saying it should actually be called Action. I'm just saying, like, it should have a subtitle. It should have something that indicates that it's not a JRPG or a classic JRPG. Maybe because it used to be. So Final Fantasy, I'm sure most fans of the series will already know this, but originally the game Final Fantasy was supposed to have been called Fighting Fantasy. That was the original name. Would it have done as well as it did under the name Final Fantasy? Probably not. Frankly, Fighting Fantasy sounds terrible. But if that's what we knew, if that's what we grew up on, Fighting Fantasy, maybe it would sound better to our ears. I don't know. But if it's going to be an action RPG, why not Fighting Fantasy? Or if they still want to cash in on the Final Fantasy name, like I said, Final Fantasy Action, Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy Fighter or something like that. I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe if they gave it a separate name and gave it its own series, that's just my opinion, right? But I'm not saying that they shouldn't go into into action RPG territory. That entirely comes down to what the developers want to make. It comes down to what the company wants to make, and if that's the direction they want to go in, that's fine. But I'm not going to buy Final Fantasy 15. Well, I mean, I already have. I'm not going to buy Final Fantasy 16. I'm not going to buy Stranger of Paradise. I'm not going to buy more copies of Final Fantasy Rebirth and Remake or Reunion. I'm not, because it's not what I'm looking for. It's not the game that I want to play. So it really doesn't help me to be loyal to a franchise like this. I should be loyal to the games that I like. And I feel like ever since I said that I'm not a retro gamer, I'm just a gamer, at first that felt freeing. At first that felt like a relief. It's like, oh, I'm no longer, I no longer am saddled with this idea that I am just a retro gamer, right? It means I can play new games that I want to play, because there are a lot of new games that I want to play. But then, I think recently I have felt the pressure to play new games. I mean, come on, a big part of my New Year's stream was talking about which brand new games coming out in 2026 that I'm going to be playing. That was my focus. Agreed, like I said earlier, labels restrict you. But this is the thing. I think not having that label, not calling myself a retro gamer, has also restricted me, but it's restricted me in a different direction. I feel pressure to perform for things that I don't really want to do. Also, supposedly catch-up games. Yeah, exactly. I got a bunch of catch-up games. I've played one of them this year so far. And I do feel that there's a pressure. Like I say, I love Final Fantasy. And people come along and they say, oh, you should play Final Fantasy 16. I don't want to. I really don't want to. It doesn't appeal to me. I'm not interested in grim and gritty Game of Thrones Final Fantasy edition. That's not for me. That's not what I play games for. And by saying I'm a fan of Final Fantasy, I think that there's a somewhat of an expectation for me to play these newer games. If I was to say the same thing about Dragon Quest, if Dragon Quest 12 comes out as an action RPG, I'm not going to play it. I've got no interest in that. And I feel like these days, like I say I'm a fan of Resident Evil. And I am. I love the Resident Evil series. And I felt pressure to play Resident Evil 9 as soon as it released. And don't get me wrong, that's not a pressure that anyone else has put on me. That was a pressure I put on myself. I wanted to play Resident Evil 9 as soon as it released, so that I could play Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil 8 in October. Right? I probably could have done that the other way around. I probably could have played Resident Evil 7 now, Resident Evil 8 in like June or July, and then Resident Evil 9 in October. But I felt that pressure to... I have to play Resident Evil 9 now because everyone's playing it now. That's a part of the pressure that comes in from being just on YouTube in general. And here's the thing. Here's the weird thing. Today, in 2026, and I'm thinking about swearing off new games. I am. I've reached that point where I feel so disillusioned with the modern games industry that I feel like saying I'm not going to play any other... I've already said this several times in the past. I think the Switch 2 is going to be the last console I buy. It's certainly going to be the last console I collect for. Especially if there's no... if they're going to be doing game key cards. Then the Switch 1 will be the last console I collect for. So I'm not going to... Why would I buy a game key card? With the industry ever pushing towards more and more digital games, digital releases, digital purchases, game licenses rather than... or rented game licenses even, rather than actual physical ownership, I don't feel like that's an industry I can support. I don't feel good about talking about modern games when I feel like we as consumers are being exploited. We're being treated poorly. We're being abused. This is an abusive relationship. at very least I know if I walk into a shop and I pick up a cartridge for the SNES or for the N64 or for the Mega Drive, I know when I get home and I plug that in, it's going to be the whole game. I know that no matter what Sega or Nintendo do, that game will always be mine. Short of it breaking. And I look after my games. I look after my hardware. I can't say the same for modern games. Not even physical editions. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but The Crew is a prime example of a physical edition that just doesn't work anymore. And thankfully, Ubisoft are getting sued for it, but that's... we still don't know how that's going to end yet. But we live in a world where these games companies will sell us a game for $100. $100. Sometimes more. $120. $130. Do you know, I wanted to play Silent Hill. Silent Hill F. I do. I really do. And it was a game that I wanted to play on stream, but because of the way that YouTube responds to horror games these days, I don't think I can. So that's something I gotta take into consideration. And the fact that I genuinely don't know if it's complete on the disc, but if I look at the price, if I was to go to EB Games right now, ebgames.com.au, and I go Silent Hill F, for a new copy of Silent Hill F, it's $130. And I don't know if at some point in the future, sometime in the next 6 months, or in the next 6 years, or in the next 60 years, that game's going to become unavailable because Konami decides, well, we don't want you to play that version anymore. We want you to play the HD release. Yeah, look, you paid $130 for this, fair enough, but we don't care. We're taking it off you and we're making you buy it again. Digital dystopia. Yeah, Kiko nailed that one right on the head. That's what it feels like. We're living in a digital dystopia. Everything is connected. Everything is interconnected. And more importantly, even physical games. Games that we once upon a time could rely on as being ours. We don't get that anymore. Even physical discs and physical cartridges could be disabled remotely. And I don't think that's fair. And so, right now, the fact that I'm not a retro gamer is what's putting pressure on me. And I feel like if I was to turn around today and say, that's it, I'm done. We're going old school, guys. I feel like I'd have less pressure on me. I feel like I wouldn't be rushing to buy the next big release. And I could focus on the games that I, like, genuinely want to play. Games that I genuinely believe in. Games that I genuinely love and want to catch up on. Like I said, Final Fantasy. I love the Final Fantasy series. To a point. Basically 12. 12 is my cutoff. And I haven't even finished 12. I've got Final Fantasy 12 The Zodiac Age on Nintendo Switch. And I've been wanting to play it for ages. And I haven't done it. I haven't done it because I've been focused so much on new games this year. And some new games last year. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to be completely swearing it off entirely, you know? I think that would be going too far in the other direction. But I do think that there's a change coming on this channel. I didn't even last 6 months. You know? I started in January saying, hey, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be cool. I can't wait. Look at all these cool new games coming out. We didn't even make it 6 months. And I already want to completely change that and focus on retro. And it's not, I don't think that's my fault. I don't think that's the game's fault. I think that's the industry as a whole. Just feels like it's going in a different direction. It's going in a direction that I can't follow. Which is sad. I love video games. You guys know that. You don't need me to tell you that. But this industry, there's a level of responsibility. And I talked about this in the last one as well, didn't I? You can't tell your audience that they're responsible. Oh no, as soon as someone hears the word responsibility, that means that they're gonna tune out because people don't want to be responsible. But we do. And I think deep down we all know that we have a responsibility to our hobby, to maintain it. And right now, I feel like the best course of action is to stop. Right now, I feel like the best course of action is to say, you're not getting another penny from me until you buck up. Till you fix your ways. I don't know what I'm gonna do going forward. I gotta be honest, guys. I'll be honest with you. I really will. Because I try to pride myself on that reality that I am as honest as I possibly can be at all times. I never want to lie to you. I never want to try to flim-flam you, snake oil you. I want to be upfront. I want to be honest, and I want to be forthright. And right now, that's how I feel. Right now, I want to say, screw it. Let's put on a SNES game. Screw it. I'm cracking out my N64. who says flim flam anymore. I do, okay? I do, okay? Dottore della Pest. Using his full legal name. Oh shit, just spilled tea all over myself. Amazing. Oh gosh. It's not my fault there's a hole in the cup. Of course there's a hole in the cup. How do you think I'm getting the tea out? Alrighty. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. You know, like I said, I've just reached a point now where I am concerned about the games industry, and I am worried about the direction that it's going in. And like I said, it's going somewhere where I can't follow. Me, you Luddite. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. I'm like the technological version of a Luddite. I am. Because, like I said, I've already bought a bunch of stuff. I've already bought a bunch of stuff to say, screw this, I'm not interested in Wi-Fi anymore. I'm wiring everything, right? I bought myself a couple of network switches and a bunch of 6A cables so that I can connect my Xbox and my Switch to a wired connection alongside my PC. And and I'm gonna be wiring up Kiko's office as well. And yeah, I'm all about them wires, baby. I'm all about them wires. I'm a technological Luddite. It is true. Yeah. So I'm eating a piece of my breakfast. I hope you don't mind. Reject modernity, return to retro. That's all I'll say on that. Even if it cost me $1,000. I've been sticking with wires the whole time, and everyone always said I was being impractical. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Wires are completely impractical. But they don't drop out randomly. Wires are horrible. They comply to their own version of the laws of physics. They phase through one another when it's the most inconvenient possible time to do so. You can have two wires, and this has actually happened to me. I was keeping wires hooked over, you know, like in a closet, you'll have a rail, and it's to put coat hangers on. I used to keep wires hanging over a rail like that, right? I one time found one of those wires tied in a knot. I don't know how that happened. It shouldn't have happened. Wires do not conform to regular physics, right? Outside of our homes, we are reliant on wireless working properly, and I swear with every tower that goes up, the reception gets worse. I can't disagree with that. I think inside our own homes, we can definitely be more reliant on wires. Because it's like a shorter distance, you know? You don't have to worry about that. And there are some things that really doesn't matter. Like, for example, I've got a really, really good pair of headphones. And they're wireless. There's like a 1-second delay between what is actually playing on the screen and when I hear it. That can be a little bit off-putting when I'm watching something that is video. But they're a music headphone. And that delay allows them to be higher quality. So, there are definitely benefits to headphones. Benefits to headphones. There's definitely benefits to wireless and Bluetooth and that sort of thing. There are some things that I wouldn't want to go back to wired for. For a long time, I thought that was going to be headsets because I was never a fan of wireless headsets. But considering... Oh, let me turn on my... turn on my headset. Oh, do I not have my... I don't have my phone. Oh, I left my phone somewhere. Oh, okay, never mind. I was going to say, I wanted to talk about... One of the things that I've always had difficulty believing when it comes to wireless things is like when they say, oh, this has got 60 hours of battery life. Now, I've always gone, yeah, okay, whatever. But I've got this headset. This Marshall's headphones, wireless. Really nice headset. And I can't remember the last time I charged it. Like going back 20 years when you had to put AA batteries into your headset. Yeah, wireless was completely impractical. They were so heavy. I had a pair of wireless headphones. They took, I think it was like 2 or 3 AA batteries in each year. I think it was 2 in each year. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but that over time that weighs on your ears, right? It does. And of course they'd run out really quick. They were pointless, so I went back to using wires. But nowadays, they've got, well, if my Marshalls are anything to go by, they've got a near infinite battery life. I don't think I'm ever going to need to recharge it, I gotta be honest. It just keeps going and going. Maybe Marshalls was bought out by Energizer. Yeah. But it just keeps going. And they're light. They're comfortable. They have really good sound. I don't think I would ever go back to wired headsets. They are. I would argue that headsets are impractical. And controllers. Controllers for games consoles being wireless. Definitely better. But wireless mouse, wireless keyboard, no thank you. Never in a million years. I've had wireless mice before, and they always run out of power at the most inopportune time. I would never have a wireless mouse or keyboard. Not for something serious. I might have like a wireless keyboard if it was connected to, let's say, a server. If I had a server in my home, I might have a wireless keyboard to connect to that, so that I can, you know, don't have to screw around and, you know, have it always connected and set up. Make it easier. That would be convenient to have a wireless keyboard. A cheap wireless keyboard. I would never, ever use a wireless keyboard on my main PC ever again. Same goes for my mouse. I would never get a wireless mouse. Utterly pointless, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. If I had a computer hooked up to the television in the living room, there would be a wireless keyboard attached to it. Absolutely. Kiko says, on wireless, this Sunday, I'm going to be out to the city to meet up with a friend for morning tea / lunch. I'm going to take my 3DS with me just to see if I can get some hits on it. Nice. Street Pass is something that I definitely miss. Like, Nintendo... Sorry, guys. You kind of screwed that up. There's absolutely no reason that the Switch shouldn't have Street Pass. None whatsoever. I can kind of understand, you know, if the Switch had come out, let's say in 2020, I would be able to understand why it didn't have Street Pass, because they wouldn't be wanting to encourage people to go outside during, you know, the Rona. But the Switch came out in 2017. We hadn't even heard of the Rona at that point. And maybe I could understand with the Switch 2 because they started development on that one during the Rona. Maybe I could understand why it doesn't have Street Pass. Because we're in a post-Rona world, you know? But, man, Street Pass was so good. It was so much fun. And it didn't have to be much. There was no one complaining that Street Pass was, you know, too little. No one was like, oh my goodness, this game, it just needs to be so much better because there's not enough game there. You had a game where you could do Street Pass, collect a bunch of people that are walking by you, and then go in and build a garden. And you could combine seeds with other people that you meet on the street and share flowers and build a garden. Does that sound like a really, you know, intense high-action game? Is that Final Fantasy 16? No! No, it's not. But no one complained that it wasn't good enough, because it was good enough. It was just fun and enjoyable to see that you were a part of this greater community that were carrying around their 3DS with them. Previously, with like a Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, even the DS, you never knew if someone else standing next to you had a DS. But the 3DS, with Street Pass, completely changed that. For a long time, gamers felt isolated. And it was never meant to be that way. Gaming was always a social thing. It was arcades. You go hang out at the arcade. You play with randos in your favorite fighting game. You try to beat other people's high scores. You go past the popular arcade machine and there'd be a lineup of quarters. And you put your quarter down and you get in line. It was inherently social. Home consoles changed that. And maybe definitely home consoles are for the better. But they definitely changed. They changed the landscape. They made gaming more isolated. They made gamers more isolated. But then came multiplayer games, and you got consoles like the N64 and the Dreamcast that allowed 4-player simultaneous gameplay. So you and 3 other friends could sit on your couch together and play games. And then online came. And we're back to isolation. Gone were the days of sitting on a couch with a big bowl of chips and a couple of bottles of soda and just having a gaming night. Gone. Because a lot of games just don't support that. They have online play only. A great example of this is Monster Hunter. One of my favorite series. And yet, Monster Hunter World has no local cooperative play. And to be fair, it's not the only one. You know, Monster Hunter 1 and 2 also were online only. So I'm not saying that Monster Hunter World changed things and it's like, oh, look how terrible it is. But in a way it did. In a way. Because you had Monster Hunter Portable. And you had Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on 3DS. And you had Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on 3DS. And you had Monster Hunter Generations on 3DS. At very least, when it comes to handheld systems, it makes sense. You're not going to be, you know, trying to share one console between 2 people, you know, and play split screen. I feel like Monster Hunter is an inherently handheld game design. Because it's about experiencing something from your own personal perspective. Split screen doesn't really work with that. And I'm aware of that. I'm not suggesting that Monster Hunter World needed split screen. But what I am saying is if I wanted to play Monster Hunter World with Kiko, we would need 2 TVs, 2 PlayStation 4s, 2 copies of the game, 2 2 PSN accounts, just to be able to play together. It means that a game that was designed to be social, that found its best footing on handheld systems, became isolating. And Wilds is the same. But Wilds is better in the sense that it's got cross-platform play. Wilds is better because I can play on PC. Kiko can play on Xbox. Munta can play on PlayStation. Hellfire can play on PlayStation, you know? We're all playing from different parts of the world. We're all playing on different systems. And we can all play together. And that's great. That is at least more acceptable than, no, at very least at the time, this is exclusive to PlayStation. And you need 2 PlayStation 4s to be able to play with your partner or significant other. That there is no way to play together. It became isolating. Because really, the only people that played Monster Hunter World, and I don't mean this as an attack, I'm not trying to say, you know, that there's anything wrong with you or anything, but the only people that played Monster Hunter World were people that didn't have significant others to play with. Or people that were rich enough to buy 2 PlayStations and have 2 online accounts. It didn't work for me and Kiko. And that's why we never played it. And even when we tried to get into it later on, we just couldn't. But that's a different thing entirely. I think that online play is incredibly isolating. The same way as I feel the same about social media. Social media is supposed to be an interconnecting experience where we come together and we meet people from all across the world. But we lose sight of the people who are closest to us. We lose sight of the world that is right in front of our eyes. We don't have time for friends and family. How could I possibly have time for friends and family when there's someone over the ocean 16,000 miles away from me who are wrong? I'm sorry, there is someone who is wrong on the internet. Uncle's funeral? Nah. Someone's wrong on the internet. Sister's wedding? Nah. There's someone wrong on the internet and I have to correct them. You know? We lose track of the important things that are happening in our own lives because we are so focused on something that is happening online. The 24-hour news cycle is another one. The 24-hour news cycle. The news used to come on every few hours on television. It used to come on every few hours, and it would be at half an hour to an hour long, and that would be it. You have half an hour of international and your country's news, and then you'd have like half an hour or so of regional or local news. That's where it was. That's what the news used to be. But now we got a 24-hour news cycle. There's always something to upset us. It used to be, oh no, there's something bad happening in the world. Oh, I'm gonna have to wait 3 hours to find out what it is. And then you just get on with your day. But now we have a 24-hour news cycle. Now, no matter when we click on to something, we are guaranteed to have a bad day. How great is that? Wonderful, right? Don't get me wrong. I think news is very, very important. I do. I think it's important. I think you should be aware of what's going on in the world. But I think that the 24-hour news cycle has really screwed with our perception of what is actually happening in the world. Once upon a time, they could only tell us the top stories. Once upon a time, it only focused in on the important things that were relevant to you and to your local area. Now, they need to find things to fill the slots. And it makes the world feel like a lot more of a dangerous place than it used to be. When the news came on every 3 hours or every 4 hours or so, and they only had a short time to talk about things, it'd be like, oh, someone was found murdered, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's terrible. Just the one. Or if it was a very unfortunate day, oh, there's been a string of 3 murders that happened today. In this in this city, in this city, in this city. It's a terrible day, blah, 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 blah. Now, there's a murder every 10 minutes. Because the news is 24/7 and it's all international. Like, don't get me wrong, all these things were always happening. The world hasn't become a more dangerous place. In fact, crime statistics indicate that the world is a lot safer today than it ever has been. Depending upon where you are, obviously. If you're living in the Middle East, in an actual war zone, or if you're in Ukraine, or if you're in, you know, places like that, then no, obviously it's gotten a little bit more dangerous. Not a lot more dangerous, but a little bit. I was watching a classic, a TV show from the UK that released in the early 90s. It was a show called It'll Be Alright on the Night. Apparently that show is still going, but basically it was a series of cock-ups, to quote Dennis Norden. It was a series of cock-ups that happened on live television. And after that was over, because this was just like basically a recording off of VHS, it was like a whole recording off of VHS, the next thing that showed up was the news at 10. Right? The next thing that popped up on the recording was the news at 10. And I watched it and they were talking about, oh, terrible things happening in Sarajevo. Okay. Well, that's a long way away. There you go. You know, that was it. That was the top story. Oh, there's more bombings happening in Sarajevo. Well, that's bloody awful, isn't it? Anyway. And that's not to be dismissive or, you know, not think that that's, you know, that's not to think that that's not a terrible thing. Of course it was a terrible thing. The whole situation was in Sarajevo back in the 90s and the 80s was terrible. Like the wars that were going on, the constant conflict throughout that period. But, you know, we got there was a news story. There was a news story that Tony Blair called then sitting Prime Minister John Major rather silly. That was the news story. That Tony Blair had called John Major rather silly. And that was a big offense. that was a top news story. And you think about that and you just go, man, that just feels like a better time to live in, doesn't it? where the biggest problem of the day was someone called the Prime Minister rather silly. I swear, if that was the worst thing that happened today, everyone would think that there was world peace. That Christ has come back. You know? But they they have a 24-hour news cycle. They're constantly stuffing in things to get your attention. The next thing is gotta be more salacious and scandalous than the last. Do you know the word scandal? I actually semi-knew this, but I didn't actually, I went and looked this up just to be double sure, because I had to talk about this. I talked about this in a comment that I made the other day. The word scandal. The word scandal comes from the Greek as scandalos. And considering how we use the word scandal in 2026, you would think that the word means, oh, someone doing something that brings shame to them. That's not what the word scandalos means. The word scandalos, or scandalon, sorry, not scandalos, scandalos is one of the conjugations, but scandalon. Scandalon means to ensnare, to trap, to cause something to stumble. Now, who is the victim? Who is the prey when the news posts scandalous information about a celebrity, about a politician, about some poor, unsuspecting person that, you know, in the street that is wearing the wrong color shirt on the wrong day because you should be wearing a green shirt because it's St. Patrick's Day, you know? You know, anytime that they want to push a narrative, a scandal, who's the real prey? Is it the person that is in the scandal? Oh, did you hear about so-and-so had sex with so-and-so? I don't think so. I think you are the prey. I think we are the prey. We are the ones ensnared by drama and gossip and scandals. It makes for good watching, doesn't it? There's a reason why Big Brother got so famous, and it wasn't because it was a good show. Big Brother was famous because of the scandal. Because it had a bunch of people in a house with no one else to talk to but each other, and they were all strangers. And the scandalon that wasn't them, was it? Or did you hear that so-and-so said that to the other person? Oh my goodness, how could they? Oh my goodness, did you see that so-and-so treated this person poorly? They said that they were friends and then they went behind their back and talked to the other person and said this. Who's ensnared there? Is it them? I don't think they're the ones ensnared. I think they're the ones doing the ensnaring. You, we, us. We are the ones ensnared. We're ensnared by the drama. We're ensnared by the intrigue. We're ensnared by the crime. We're ensnared by the horror, the war, the murders. We are the ones trapped in this snare. We are the ones who stumble. And it serves to isolate us. Don't worry, I didn't forget what I was saying. It serves to isolate us. It puts us in our own little boxes over irrelevant shit. Once upon a time, you didn't know who your neighbor voted for. It was none of their business. In 2026, if you don't announce who you are voting for, it will always be assumed that you are voting for the wrong party. And it doesn't matter who you're talking to, because they will always have an opinion who the wrong party is. If I just turn around and say, I'm not really interested in politics, that's a political statement. That's seen as taking a stance. That I am agreeing to all the horrible things that this person can invent. Because I refuse to say that I'm against them. It serves to isolate. That's all it does. Divide and isolate. And I hate that I feel like gaming has become that as well. I mean, it was only 2 weeks ago that I was thinking to myself, I'm scared to play Pragmata because of all the crazies. Because there are crazy people out there that genuinely think that playing Pragmata makes you a PDF file. A few years ago, people were harassed and bullied and sent death threats, all because they wanted to play the naughty wizard game. Whether it be because of politics seeping into the gaming environment, or whether it be because we create these little dugouts for ourselves. We entrench ourselves in belief and dogma and politics and opinion. And then we apply that to everything in our immediate area. Or whether it's because it's in the games already. I don't know. But what I can say is that I feel more isolated, you know, in this world of connectivity. See, I told you I remember what I was talking about. In this world of connectivity, where everything is connected and interconnected, and reaching out to someone 16,000 miles away isn't as difficult as it used to be. We're more isolated than ever. We find new and exciting ways to isolate ourselves. And all the while, the things that really matter in this world just pass us by. This is your once per year notification from me to remember to touch grass. I'll have you know that I touched grass yesterday, I went out to the mailbox. It was a good day. There's another phrase, though, that I think suits this better. Not touch grass. Touch base. Go talk to someone. Go ask your mother how she's doing. Go ask your dad if he needs help. When was the last time you talked to your grandparents? I think video games can and should be a beautiful and wonderful force of uniting. I have always said this. I have always believed this. From the early days of arcades, where people gather together in these holy temples of video games, where strangers would meet on the street and be like, "Oh man, you play that game too? That's so cool." Or you'd see a name on the top of the leaderboard and you go, "I could never hit that. How did they get 500,000 points? I don't get it. How did they do that?" And you see this person's name on the scoreboard week after week after week after week. And then one day, you put your coin down and the person in front of you enters the same initials. And you go, "Holy shit, that's the guy that done it." Or girl. That's the guy. That's the celebrity. That's a local celebrity. How do you get 500,000 points? And you start having a conversation. What skills do you have? What magic did you use to be able to access this amazing power? Is this a power that can be learned? You get to know people. You get to experience other people through playing games with them, through playing games against them. I've told you guys multiple times that school was not a great time for me. It was pretty bad. I had some vile people in my life. But it was also some of the best times too. Not actually being in school, of course. That was still utterly vile. But that period, the few friends that I had, we all come together and we play WrestleMania or No Mercy or something. Or we play Mario Kart. Or we play Smash Bros. Where I could get 4 people on a couch together. Play some N64. Play some GameCube. Play some PS2. It was a different time. Yeah, sure, the PS2 had internet connectivity. I never had internet connectivity on my PS2 personally. Even the PS1 and even the Super NES had internet connectivity in the right place. Well, it's not really internet, but it had some form of interconnectivity. But I personally didn't have it. And yet, I felt closer to people then than I do today. Maybe this is nostalgia. Maybe this is something, this is a feeling that you can never get back, you know, like we've talked about never being able to go home again. Maybe this is one of those nostalgic feelings that we just won't be able to reclaim. But that doesn't mean we stop trying. That's what I wanted this channel to be. I had a lot of ideas when creating a YouTube channel. I had a lot of ideas when creating a Twitch channel. Let's not forget that's where I started, on Twitch. I had a lot of ideas. Am I going to be a retro gaming channel? Am I going to be a modern gaming channel? Is it going to be a little bit of both? Are we going to play adventure games? Are we going to play fighting games? Are we going to be playing Mario Kart? Are we going to play a little bit of Atari? Are we going to play some Nintendo Switch? Maybe some PS4? I had a lot of different ideas when I created my first channel. And a lot of those ideas don't exist today. A lot of those thoughts, a lot of those premises, a lot of those concepts, they didn't make it past, you know, first deployment. As is often the case with plans. As the military adage goes, or the army adage goes, I'm not sure. Even the best laid plans, even the best made plans do not survive first encounter with the enemy. Or something like that. In this analogy, you guys are the enemy. I had a lot of ideas. Most of them don't exist today. The one that still does, and the one that hasn't changed, and the one that will never change, is that this channel has been created for the goal of creating a community. To build up that sense of camaraderie, brotherhood, friendship, that sense of love that exists between all of us. To create a space where we come together for video games, because that's the thing that unites us. It's the thing that makes us the same. Rather than focusing on the things that make us different. This isn't a channel for white people. This isn't a channel for black people. This isn't a channel for gay people. This isn't a channel for straight people. This isn't a channel for anything else. This isn't a left-wing channel. This isn't a right-wing channel. This is a channel for gamers. And all the other divisive nonsense is irrelevant. Or you can't say that. Blah, blah, blah. This politician did that. Blah, blah, blah. That politician did this. Okay. But that's not what we're here for, is it? We're here to talk about video games. We're here to play video games. We're here to have a cup of tea together. Just slow down for a little moment. Take a breath. That tea is cold. Let's get to know each other. Let's be a community. Let's look out for one another. Let's support one another. Protect one another. Hold each other up. That's what it means to be a community. And those are lessons that can be learned in many ways. But in my personal opinion, and in my personal experience, the best way is through gaming. It is. As some people might turn around and say, well, you know what, if you want to talk about supporting one another, maybe the best way is, you know, being a fire person, you know, firefighter. Okay. But so far, I have yet to run into a burning building. I have yet to have to run into a burning building while playing video games. Oh, but you know, the brotherhood that is forged on the battlefield. That's great. Don't get me wrong. I understand. I appreciate. That is a strong bond. That is a powerful bond and an important one. But you don't get shot at playing video games. I think that the camaraderie that we can achieve without putting ourselves into dangerous situations is best achieved through video games. Because we see each other's weaknesses and strengths. If we're playing against one another, we exploit those. If we're playing with each other, we find ways to fill those gaps. Monster Hunter is the obvious example that always comes to my mind, because when we've got people playing Monster Hunter together, constantly watching each other's backs, constantly aware of what each other are doing, understanding who's meant to be doing the damage, who's meant to be doing the blocking, who's meant to be doing the healing. When it works, it works. When you're in a group that understands one another, that becomes close to one another, it just works. You begin to rely on those people. You begin to see them as comrades, brothers in arms. I mean, there's no tell of a lie on this channel. I think aside from Max Horn, let me just double check this for a second. Let me just double check for the sake of argument. Yeah, aside from Max Horn, all of my moderators are people I've played Monster Hunter with. And even going back to people that used to be moderators, to people who used to be administrators on our Discord, or when we were on Guilded, or when I was on Twitch. It was 90% people I've played Monster Hunter with. And that's not because there's a prerequisite. There's no requirement for people to play Monster Hunter. But after a while, you come to trust people. When you play with them, week in, week out, you know that person's got your back. It's just the way it is. And that's what I want to do on this channel. I have been so concerned recently over what am I going to do? What's this channel going to be in 6 months' time? And I can't answer that right now because I feel like this channel is in a volatile state. I feel like there's stuff that is going to happen and changes that are going to be coming in to place in the near future that I can't predict. YouTube is going to YouTube at the end of the day. And the games industry is going to games industry. But I'm going to keep trying to make this place the best community that we can get. I want this channel to be the focal point for our community to grow and become close. Not just with me, but with each other. That we play games together. I'm thinking of going back to playing Mario Kart. I've been thinking about this for some time. It's something that I wanted to do for a while, but I've just not really had the time. I've been so focused on playing the newest thing that I lost track of something which I said a couple of years ago. And while I don't fully agree with what I said a few years ago, there was something in that which was true. I said that I was making a mistake with my channel. That what I should be doing is releasing videos of Let's Plays for single player games. And streaming should be focused on multiplayer. Now, I don't agree with that. I want to be 100% honest with you guys. I don't agree with that. And the reason I don't agree with that is because I just don't enjoy making Let's Plays. I tried. I did. I tried so hard and I just can't do it. I don't enjoy it. I enjoy the moment-to-moment, some might argue the instant gratification of being on stream. I like being able to communicate with you guys. I like having conversations with you guys while we're playing. It doesn't happen a lot. And I will continue to try to push this because this is something which I think is important and something which a lot of people just switch off. Just because I'm playing a video game, people think they need to shut up. I'm playing a game now. You have to go away. No, that's not how this works. But so many people say, oh, well, I didn't want to interrupt you. I didn't want to bother you while you were playing that. Why would I be streaming if I didn't want to be bothered? Yeah, I could be making Let's Plays instead. I don't like playing Let's Plays. I prefer to be chatting. I prefer the live stream format. But why on earth would I be live streaming if I didn't want people to chat? But everyone that... I don't know why this is. I can't comprehend this mentality, personally. But everyone says the same thing. Oh, I stopped talking because I didn't want to interrupt you. I stopped talking because I didn't want to bother you while you were playing that. I didn't want to be a burden while you were trying to do that difficult section. I don't know why people think like that. Why would I be live? Why would I be live if I didn't want to have interaction? I'd just be playing it by myself. I can do that if you want. I could just stop streaming today. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the interaction. I'm here because I want that interaction. Not just between me and you guys, but between you guys as well. As weird as it is, the best case scenario for this channel is when I'm not necessary. Because that's what I want. I want to see people come together and play games together and just have a good time together. But that's it. You know, like I said, I don't know where this channel's going to be in the future, but I do know where I want. I want this channel to continue to grow. I want to see people coming back. I want to see more people chatting. I want to see more people playing games together. And this is what I was saying. I don't necessarily agree with what I said before. I don't think streaming is a waste of time. That I need to be playing multiplayer games. But I definitely have gone too far in the other direction. Currently, the only multiplayer game we play is Monster Hunter. And that's too far in the wrong direction. So, we're going to figure something else out. We're going to figure something else out. That's something that will change in the future. There will be more video games. There will be more games for us to play together. Not just Monster Hunter. Maybe, like I said, we'll go back to Mario Kart. Maybe there'll be other games that we can play. I don't know. I don't know just yet. I don't know what the games industry is going to throw at me, so I can't tell you if we're going to continue to play modern titles or whether we're going to move into more of a retro direction. At this point in time, I'm thinking that we will probably go in a more retro direction. But that's okay. That's okay too. I think one of the things that I've been doing wrong recently has been too focused, not necessarily on labels, but too focused on being something. Instead of being more flexible and being able to be anything. Sometimes it's a part of the YouTube system that you have to kind of narrow your focus and say, this is where I'm going to be for the next 6 months. Otherwise, you don't get pushed in the algorithm. You kind of need to focus yourself. But I think maybe I've focused myself a bit too much, and I have not allowed myself the freedom to change. And that's what I'm going to be doing. That's what I'm going to try to do. And I welcome you all to try it with me. Because I think sometimes we all need to change. Sometimes we all need to just take a moment, take a step back, look at what's going on and saying, is this really making me happy? And if the answer is no, then we need to change that. Sometimes we need to step back and we need to look at things and we're saying to ourselves, our diet, is this making me healthy? And if the answer is no, we change it. And we look at our routines and we say to ourselves, is this routine good for me? Am I happy? Am I comfortable in my skin? And if the answer is no, we can change. That's one of the wonderful things about being human. We do have the ability to change. Some people will look at this the other way and think to themselves, I shouldn't have to. The world should change for me. Well, there's a surefire way to make yourself more isolated. That's a surefire way to make yourself less happy. In principle, I don't think you're wrong. Sometimes the world does need to change. But sometimes so do we. And I think I'm going to need to change what video games I play. And with all that said, been a rather quick 3 hours, I can tell you that. Wasn't expecting it to already be 3 p.m. With all that said, I think we're going to call it there for right now. Yeah. Now's a good time. Now's a good time to bring it to a close. My tea is cold. So is this conversation. But think about it. Think about it. I'm going to be back. Actually, let me take us over to the schedule. Alrighty. So I'm going to be back at 6 p.m. in about 3 hours' time with Monster Hunter Stories 3. And then on Saturday, tomorrow, at 6 p.m., I'm going to be playing more Pragmata. I was thinking that we're moving quite quickly through Pragmata. I was thinking that, at first I was thinking that we were moving quite quickly through Pragmata. Then yesterday, not yesterday, sorry, on Wednesday, we played Pragmata, and I was like, oh, actually, maybe we're not moving very quickly. Maybe this is actually kind of, we're going kind of slow. Maybe we need to pick up the pace. I'm going to do a little bit of exploration off stream. And then I realized that we were only on episode 3, so no, I've changed my mind. We are moving quite quickly through Pragmata. So if you want to come check out Pragmata, or we're still playing it, please do. We'd love to have you. Love to see you there. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about dads in space. And, yeah. Not much left for the rest of the week. We got Monster Hunter Stories tonight and Pragmata tomorrow. There will be a new loading zone on Sunday, hopefully. I'm planning to do a little bit of recording right now. Between episodes. And, yeah. So, yeah, there will probably be a loading zone on Sunday. I think I should be able to do it. I think I've got into a routine now that I should be able to just do a quick recording, get the loading zone up, and then that will be available for everyone all throughout the week. I do ask that you do check out the loading zone. Like, don't forget to check it out, because there's things happening in the loading zone as well, you know, stuff that I don't really do here in the chatting streams and stuff that I don't do in the gaming streams either. There's going to be discussion, there's conversations, there's a question. I have left a question for people to answer, specifically this time, and it will be the case for the next few loading zones. I'm gonna be asking people to submit questions, you know? I want people to submit gaming questions for me so that I can make a video out of it, you know? I want to make Anne Asks a thing, or Ask Anne. I haven't even decided what it's going to be yet. At the moment, I've got it as Anne Asks, but, you know, it could be anything. It could be either, to be fair. Tim made a really good point because people were asking me questions, and I thought, oh yeah, that's actually a really good point. If people are asking me questions, and the majority of that video is going to be me answering those questions, that does mean that it's more like you asking me rather than the other way around. So maybe it should be Ask Aneuryn. Either way, point is, if you've got questions, if you would like to ask questions, gaming related preferably, please do make a post over on the loading zone. In fact, let me get that link for you. That's incorrect. There we go. Now, obviously, one of the things I do want to talk about with the loading zone is that, yes, I know the opening sequence is all kinds of messed up. I don't know why that is. I'm trying to figure out what happened. But I think I've solved it. I think I know what went wrong, but it's just so strange the way that how bad that looks when the rest of the video looks fine. Yeah, I'll figure it out before I post the next loading zone. So the intro section should be a lot cleaner than it was in the last one. Either way, still, like I said, if you want to ask questions for Aneuryn Asks or Ask Aneuryn, whatever it might be, you can post it in the comments for the loading zone. And I'm also kind of considering, I gotta be honest, I am kind of considering whether or not Ask Aneuryn should be its own video separate from the loading zone, but I think I want to keep it to the loading zone for now at very least, and if it does end up becoming its own thing, then it can be its own thing later. But right now, yes, if you've got any questions, if you would like me to answer, please use the loading zone comment sections for your questions. And I will start doing Ask Aneuryn at some point in the future. I'm thinking that because this first one that I've been working on this one for a bit longer than I probably should have. And I feel like I'm going to be starting something way too high quality compared to what's going to be coming in the future. So I'm kind of taking a step back and going, maybe I don't want to do this the way that I've been doing it, because like I've mentioned in a couple of streams now that I've got, on my left hand side, I've currently got my hand on an Atari 2600 Plus, and on my right hand side I've currently got my hand on an Atari 2600 Junior, and the reason that both of those are connected at the same time, one is connected to a modern television, one of them's connected to a CRT. The reason that they're connected is because I was answering a question regarding Atari. And I feel like I may have gone too far, right? I feel like this is basically its own bloody video. So, yeah. So I think Ask Aneuryn is probably going to have to get kind of trimmed down a little bit. And then maybe I'll release like longer version answers on Aneuryn Extra in the future. I think that's probably a good idea. I think that is probably a good idea. I've created the Aneuryn Extra channel for a reason, and so far I'm not really using it. But I will be using it in the future. I'm currently working on some new overlays and some new setups in OBS to be able to do short form content. The idea is that I want to post something like at minimum twice a week over on Aneuryn Extra, and it's going to be, I don't want to say game theory stuff because I don't want people to think that there's going to be 30 to 40-minute video explaining a particular theory, but it's basically going to be a case of like rapid fire explanations of how things work, how certain games work, how certain games are programmed, maybe some theory stuff. I'm working on some Zelda scripts right now. I've also got some Final Fantasy scripts. I'm looking at like cultural origins of certain games and certain features and certain monsters and so on in video games. And all of these things, I'm thinking, can I talk about this in 5 minutes? And for the most part, the answer is actually yes, surprisingly. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, if that's something that you might be interested in watching, please do come check all that out, because we're going to be doing it over on Aneuryn Extra. That is my second channel. You should be able to find Aneuryn Extra. It's just at Aneuryn Extra. Alternatively, you can find it by going to my channel, my main channel, and there'll be a section that says Aneuryn's other channels or something like that, or my other channels. And there you'll find Aneuryn Extra and Aneuryn Playlist. Aneuryn Playlist, you don't need to really follow that one. I just put it up there because it's there. Basically, an Aneuryn Playlist is just a bunch of playlists that I've made of music that I like to listen to. So if you want to listen to the same music that I do, go follow that one as well. But don't expect me to post my own music. For now. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe in the future, when I do finally get finished with Aneuryn 3.0, there is something that I've been wanting to learn to do for a very long time, and that's make chiptunes. So who knows? Maybe in the future I will post my own music, but for right now, that's not what that channel is for. Anywho, that's gonna be it from me for right now. And yeah, like I said, please ask questions over on the loading zone. New loading zone coming this Sunday. Tonight, I'm going to be playing Monster Hunter Stories 3. That's going to be in about 3 hours. And then tomorrow at 6 p.m. we got Pragmata. Big thank you to everyone joining me today for this stream. If you've enjoyed the stream, please do leave a thumbs up to let YouTube know that you liked it. If you're new here and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing and ring the bell to be notified of when I'm going live next. If you would like to support this channel, you can through memberships here on YouTube. If you want to follow me on something that isn't YouTube, I have an X, I have a Threads, and I have an Instagram. That Instagram really needs to get used. And you can find a link to each and every single one of those down in the description. Oh, and Discord too. We got our Discord. Don't forget the Discord. I also invite you to leave a comment at the end of these streams. We may be kind of getting out of the doghouse with YouTube, but every little helps. If you can leave a comment as well, I would greatly appreciate that. But that is going to be it. I will see you all in a few hours. Be good to yourselves. Be excellent to each other. Play more video games, and until I see you, peace, love, and high scores. See you later, everyone.